Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
And you are very welcome. It is Friday Night Racing on Off the Ball, and we are celebrating the victory today of Freewheelin Dylan in the Irish National. We're obviously going to talk about the Grand National entry tomorrow, a massive weekend for racing, and we have a very special guest on the show today, Dermot McLoughlin, who we'll get to in a couple of minutes. A massive result for racing, 150 to 1 shot winning for a local trainer. Ricky Doyle obviously in the saddle, a jockey not accustomed to big race success, and of course a lot of people around the country who were Bob Dylan fans back in the horse at 150 to 1. It's Friday Night Racing and Off the Ball, brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie. Follow the new Twitter account at HRI Racing, hashtag every racing moment. We'll also be joined by Thom Malone throughout the course of the show, but let's get straight over to Dermot McLoughlin, who's probably still somewhere on cloud 9, I'd imagine. Dermot?
Hi Johnny, yeah, in good form, thank you.
What has the last 4 days been like?
Very hectic, Johnny. The yard's been busy there, neighbours calling, plenty of phone calls, plenty of people wanting to see the horse. I'll go.
Just describing the race there, and I suppose like racing maybe had a massive lift, I think, throughout Cheltenham with what the Irish achieved, but mainly I suppose Rachel Blackmore and some of the performances we had. But I thought this was nearly a perfect result for racing. You'd 150 to 1 shot winning that would have been backed by some of the, I suppose, the quintessential housewives and the once-a-year punters around the country, but also what it would mean to somebody like you, and also to Ricky Doyle to win the Irish National.
Yeah, Johnny, look, sure, I've been going there from a young age. My father rode the win of it, I think my uncle was second in it. We've been going there from a young age. So, as I said, it's only 3 miles up the road from us, so it's a race I always wanted to have a runners in, let alone a winner. So we're only training about 10 years now, so I was lucky enough to find this horse, and I aimed him at it last year, and I said, look, if we can keep a clear run, and everything went well. His preparation went well, and also it was great.
It was probably not little announced, I suppose, or mentioned that you did produce a horse who kind of, he was off a little break as well. You produced him on the day to win an Irish National. Just from a training perspective, considering the amount of rivals you face in the race, and the achievement training wise of having a horse coming into the race with that prep, notwithstanding that he was 150 to 1, how much satisfaction does that give you? How would it compare to Vic's Canvas, obviously, who was third in the entry national for you as well? Oh yeah, look,
there's comparisons. Both horses, it was great to have the both horses, but this fella now, it'd be similar. Vic's Canvas didn't need a whole lot of work. This fella doesn't need a whole lot of work. They're both tidy little jumpers. We set out our stall after winning in Kilbeg in the Midlands National, and we just said, look, we won't campaign him on winter ground. He doesn't enjoy it, so he's more spring summer horse. So Vic's Canvas was the same. I think he fell at the first of the year he ran the Irish National. I think he was favoured for it. So he was unlucky, but came along then. He was second in the Whitbread Gold Cup. Then obviously he was third in the English National. So it was great. There were two great horses to have, Johnny. That's the sort of horse you need in the yard to keep you going.
What did you make with Thom Malone?
Yeah, I just thought it was absolutely magic. How are you, Dermot? Hope you're well.
Hope he's well. If he's not well now, he'll never be well.
I'm very well.
Yeah.
Not about me.
I know. We actually had obviously Dermot's from just down the road from Ferryhouse. I'm living not too far from Ferryhouse at the moment as well. And I was laughing that Farrier came yesterday to trim up the pony's feet, and I was giggling. And he said, "Oh, do you not back Freewheelin Dylan?" And I was like, "Jesus, it's a pity you didn't come last Wednesday, not this Wednesday." But it was absolutely brilliant. And you just think, like, the owner as well, she's in the ward union, and what the reaction just would have been like. I mean, Ferryhouse and Ferryhouse winners are just so synonymous with local glory, like Garrity's, Carberry's, your dad winning, the Drapers as well, and just what that reaction would have been like with someone from the ward union owning the horse and coming back into that enclosure. It would have been magic, Dermot.
I would have been unbelievable, but as I said, lads, we just had to motor on, and we're lucky racing is still going, I suppose, the way things are. But we missed all that. But the owner was thrilled a bit. She watched it with her friends, and obviously she got a massive buzz out of it. She's still in Clyde now, so it's great for, it's great for all the locals. It's great for racing. So everyone's getting a buzz out of it. My family, all our relations, everyone's getting a good kick out of it. So it's just great.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dermot. We're just going to have to play the closing stages for you. You're just going to have to endure this yet again.
Beach and Sempo coming to the final fence, and it's still Freewheelin Dylan in the lead from Run Wild Fred on the near side over the last. Freewheelin Dylan, Run Wild Fred, Enjoy Darling, latest exhibition, running up to the finish. This is a crowning win for Ricky Doyle and Dermot McLoughlin as Freewheelin Dylan makes all in the BoyleSports Irish Grand National, beating Run Wild Fred, Enjoy Darling, latest.
The fact that, on that, Dermot, just the fact that you see the finish of the race there and who was involved. Obviously, Kieran Murphy involved in the horse that was third, and yourself. And I suppose the wonderful thing about the Irish National is that it's not necessarily dominated by the bigger powers. Now, as much as Jig and Sound have, been apt to throw in 11 or 12 runners in the race, it does give the likes of you a chance, and I think that's maybe why it is the people's race.
Oh, entirely, yeah. Tom Gibney was lucky enough to win it as well. So, a small man has a chance. So, obviously, if you prepare your horses right and think ahead, sure, everyone has a chance.
How would you sum up Ricky Doyle's role in the race? Because it would have been horrible. The horse he wasn't entirely fluent at the last, landed running, but just the composure of that lad throughout the race. And I know he commented subsequently, I think coming into the straight, he couldn't believe how well he was going, but it must have been a special moment between the two of you afterwards.
It was. Ricky's a great lad. He's a very cool customer. Even today, he won on me in Kilbeggan there in July. He handed me the saddle. He says to me, is he in good form? I says he is. He said he'll take some baiting. Something similar the other day. Very cool man. I came out. He said if I can make it, I will. He says if not, I'll just drop him in. But he'll take a fair one to get by me after the first. He says so. Okay, that fills with confidence as well, Johnny. So it was great. Great lad. Sure, he jumped from fence to fence. He gets on very well with the horse. You know what I mean? So the two of them work very well together.
And just, Tom, you mentioned the word union hunt. I suppose most people who watch the Irish National, they're not going to be familiar with, I guess, the grassroots of racing in that region, and how far back that goes, and how involved kind of the word union hunt is in the Ferryhouse region, Ratoath generally. You mentioned the Carberries, but could you just explain to people, I suppose, the background to that and how deeply wedded a result like that is in the local community?
Yeah, well, it's just magic. I mean, sorry, go on. Yeah, Dermot, it's just brilliant. You even see the two huntsmen, and they lead back in the winner. It's just, Keith Donoghue as well. He'd be big in the wards, and his brother Ian as well. They'd all, hunt away with them, and Paul Carberry would be kind of up in the Masters too. So it's just a huge part of the community, part of the area, and it's just so key that, we talk about, we have a point here at home, and we want to have a bit of a local result. You think, we might try and bring it to the Folly or bring it to Tattersalls or something like that. And even just for people to have a point-to-point winner in Tattersalls or the Folly or something like that is absolutely massive. So to go and have a winner at Ferryhouse is brilliant, and then to go and win the Irish Grand National is just the absolute is a real pinnacle for people in the area for what they would really, like to achieve. A lot of people who have grown up, if you're kind of our age, you probably will have seen Desert Orchid win at Ferryhouse or something like that, and that'd be an enduring memory of Ferryhouse, I'm sure, for many people. And for someone like the owner of Freewheelin Dylan, for her to go and have a horse to go and compete at that level, and then just go and take a big race like that, it's just absolutely magical. He's
like a horse as well, Dermot, that wouldn't mind a little trip out hunting himself.
Yeah, well, the owner did hunt, I hunt, lads in the yard hunt with the ward, so great affiliation with it there as well. But lucky enough we don't have to hunt him yet now. You know what I mean? But safe.
Can you describe the experience of hunting? Because most people never get on a racehorse, not to mind go out hunting, but it must be some buzz. What's it like?
Well, I've been doing it from a young age. My father, I love it, Johnny. I love it. It's my pastime on a Friday there. I go most Fridays if I can. As I said, Sheila, the owner of the horse, used to be a whip over to Ward Union Hunt as well. So a few of the lads in the yard still hunt with us as well. So it's my hobby basically. I just take the Friday afternoon off in the winter months there and really enjoy it. And as I said, the Ward Union Kennel is only 3 miles from the yard there as well. So we're all very local here, but it's great for young jockeys starting out. I'd be pushing all the young lads to come into our yard to hunt as well. It's great for their balance, great for their technique. Obviously, they're going to get a few falls along the way as well, but that's all part and parcel if you want to be a jockey, I think,
Does your cousin Ollie hunt? Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, just the variety of things that jockeys would jump out in a hunt as well. That's kind of part of the skill set, isn't it, Dermot? Like, you go out and you come up to a hedge or a ditch, and it's a completely different experience to, say, jumping a pole in an arena or even coming up to school and fences. Like, it's a brilliant skill to learn for riders.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And like the words there, go helter skelter too now. You want to be sitting tight. As I said, like, you wouldn't want to be left behind, so you would be left behind. But no, it's good. It's great education, and for horses as well. You know what I mean? So it's a huge benefit for young jockeys, I think. And as I said, from a young age, I was sent out hunting there, and I'm a big advocate for young jockeys to go hunting, because I think going forward, you know what I mean, it gives you a bit of confidence as well on a horse. And as you said there yourself, you don't know what you're going to meet, so if you're going to have a go, you're going to have a go, and that's it. That's the way we're looking at things,
Yeah, the aforementioned Paul Carberry often spoke about the stickability that jockeys get from hunting, but there was no stickability to the couch anyway when it came to your cousin Ollie, and I think a lot of people may have seen and heard this already, but why not see and hear it for one more time?
Go on, Freewheelin! Please, for once in my fucking life! Come on! Please! Please! Go on, Freewheelin Dylan! Come on, Freewheelin Dylan! Please! 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 No, Freewheelin!
What sort of character is Ollie, Dermot?
He's fairly lively, Johnny, all right, yeah. Yeah. No, Ollie's dad, Peter, would have owed, I think he was second in the Irish National. He would have owed a lot of winners for the late Tom Draper. Peter would have as well. And Oliver's brother, young Peter McLoughlin, would have a good few winners in his time as well. He was with Noel Meade. So Ollie done a bit of pony racing and got a bit tall and gave up. He actually did a bit of hunting, but he's gone away from horses now. But yeah, sure, look, he rang me up there and I said to him, you're nearly as famous as the horse now, So he just said his wife was minding a baby at the time, a 10-week-old baby for the neighbours, and when the race started, it was shh, shh, shh. But of course, when it got into the third last, the roaring started, and I think the baby woke up anyway, and he got a mouthful after the race. But sure, look, he didn't mind. He said it was great.
He let out a whelp like a kind of a dog that you just stood on by accident there as a second last.
I thought a golf ball was stuck in his throat or something. But no, he was great from the show. As I said, everyone got a great buzz out of it, and there's plenty of people ringing me, and it's great for a lot of people. Yeah,
Tom, I suppose just the beauty of the Irish National, it's such a long race that if you back a horse like Freewheelin Dylan, or you're involved in a horse like that who's jumping from fence to fence out in front, almost gate to wire, it's like, several minutes of excitement that builds up to the point that Ollie is kind of struggling to look at the screen at the third last. Then he goes back, he looks away again at the second last, and then he loses all the run of himself.
I know, we've all kind of been there, haven't we, Johnny? When you actually get a big price front runner and things are all going to plan for such a long period of the race. But it was an absolutely brilliant ride, it has to be said, by Ricky Doyle. The horse obviously jumped out a little bit keen, but he did seem to then settle things right away. And maybe after about 3 or 4 fences, my goodness, the horse just jumped out of his hands the whole way. And I think he said himself after the race, it was just a case of, get to the third last, get to the second last. And I think he said he felt Jack Kennedy coming up towards him just at the back of the last, but he was full of confidence, and it probably translated to the horse throughout as well. But it must be a lovely feeling for a jockey as well, just jump out in front like that and make all and not have anything come to you. And I think he said as well, he couldn't believe he was coming to the third last. He thought he had far much longer the race to go, because he couldn't believe quite how well he was travelling.
Yeah, and I guess like we've all bemoaned the fact that there hasn't been a crowd, but you can just imagine if Freewheelin Dylan has come to the last and Ollie happens to be around the last, jumping around and kind of doing these circles like a madman. The horse could have been totally distracted. I think it probably worked in his favour. Friday Night Racing is brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Just a bit of background, Dermot. You go way back in terms of racing, your dad and the Drapers, and that was the context of why this race was even more special to you.
Yeah, Johnny. As I said, I've been going there from a young age, and I suppose my father rode a winner of it in 1962. I think he had 3 or 4 rides in it. My uncle Peter was second in it. So it's a race. Like, I wanted to have some sort of history to follow us on with. So obviously I set out my stall and we did start training to hopefully come across a horse to be good enough to win in the Irish National, let alone win one. So we're lucky we have a few staying chasers and that's able to compete at this level in these races, so it's great.
Can you trace some of your training methods back to the Drapers?
Oh, definitely. I was there for 15 years, but I have to say now, when I was there, things were done really well, and I'd like to think I took plenty with me out. But you know what I mean? Back when my father was still alive, he was telling me like what Tom Draper used to be doing with horses, and it was all slow work and fed well and looked after, and I think that progressed on to Jim. You know what I mean? And when I was there, the horses, I learned so much there. How to look after horses and how to feed horses, and I think anyone that ever worked there will tell you the same. They were big, strong horses to ride, but if you can manage riding them horses, you could go anywhere. That's the way I was thinking anyway.
What's it like to train a staying chaser? Because the longevity of them obviously is subject, I guess, to their own mental and physical fortitude and just staying sound and staying sweet. But is it different to, I don't know, training your average 2-mile hurdler? Because like that is a serious test. Like winning a Midlands National in Kilbeggan is actually a serious test of a horse. But to then produce it again in Irish National, and I imagine you've designs in this horse winning a bigger race down the line. I've
designs them going to Aintree next year, Johnny, hopefully. But no, it's, look, once they're healthy and looked after well enough, and we're lucky enough that we can let them out during the day here with plenty of land. So like they're, not that they're kept sweet, but like you wouldn't be over, when they're fit and they're healthy. So we're just a matter of keeping them ticking over and keeping them sweet and doing a few different things with them every now and again. But no, like as I said, once they're healthy, keep sound is the main thing, isn't it? For everything.
And Tom, these are the types of horses that the public get an affinity towards as well.
Yeah, there's something really special about staying chasers, aren't there? And I do think that is the kind of horse that people as well, they're around. They tend to be around for quite a long time. They win races that are on the telly, the likes of the Irish Grand National, the Aintree Grand National, Gold Cup, or whatever. But when you have horses that they'll be produced when they're maybe they'll win a point to point when they're 4 or 5. You might see them then out as a novice chaser when they're 7. But you'd hope to see them on 8, 9, 10, 11 when they go and win big races. So they're around for a long time, and it's like I said, they're just horses that the public do get behind. And I suppose you think of like the ultimate staying chase, you think of someone like Denman, who's just gets out in front and bowled along and just to carry that weight, a big, like you say, a kind of horse that the Drapers would have had, a big lump of a staying chaser, and they really are the kind of horses that the public, like you say, do get behind, aren't they?
You won a nice amount of money, obviously, as the trainer of the winner of the National Dermot, but just in context, what are your ambitions? Because it's strange, people almost jump to conclusions that you win a race like this, it changes your career. You mightn't get another horse out of it. It doesn't work like that. What are your ambitions out of it?
No, well, Johnny, obviously to progress, we've always a full house of stables there. We've 40 horses, 40 stables. So, but you like to think a better class of horses might come, you know what I mean? But the way current climate isn't, you don't know what's going to happen, what's around the corner. But no, we just keep going at what we have. We've some very nice horses. We're very lucky to have Lee Valley Gallops just down the road from us, this top class facility as well. So, we don't have to walk down the road. We need all these, the modern day horses to be trained, to the top level, so everything has to be done 100% right. So hopefully we can compete now at the next level as well again, you know what I mean? That's what I'd be hoping for anyway. Because your strike rate has developed into around 11 or 12%, which is no mean feat. It's a seriously competitive environment that you're in. Definitely, Johnny, and it's only probably going to get harder and harder as well, you know what I mean? Obviously the results in Cheltenham stand out for that, and every day, you're going out there competing at a very, very high level. So, as I said before, everything has to be 100% right before you go racing nowadays, because, you won't be at the races full stop. And just, Tom, in terms of what I was kind of alluding to at the start of the show, this was a victory. I think that it carried on that groundswell of good feeling that racing enjoyed from Cheltenham in Ireland into Fairyhouse, because it was racing back on the front pages for the right reasons. The Dylan reference was obviously, good for the publicity as well. Ricky, Doyle, Dermot McLoughlin, not exactly household names for your average sports kind of fan. So I thought it ticked nearly every box. And it even spoke to one bookmaker representative who said that they lost on the race, because some people did like the fact that it was a Dylan reference and it was 150 to 1.
Yeah, I know, and Dylan is a real popular name with kids as well. So you'd imagine there's lots of grannies around the place with grandsons called Dylan who they're having their pound each way on for as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because I saw Kevin McManus bookmakers, and he was tweeting, "Oh, can't wait to be back next year. Oh, 150 to 1 winner of the national." And I was kind of thinking, first of all, if the bookies had been there this year, there's no way it would have been 150 to 1, just because there would have been quite a lot of those fivers and tenors each way, just for the name, and then obviously the local connection as well. But the win, you're dead right, did tick so many brilliant boxes. Just like I say, a local winner is great. And then just from horse racing's point of view, obviously a negative that gets portrayed at horse racing would be that it's elitist, and that, you know, only the Jake McManuses and Jigginstowns of this world are competitive. But like you said, just the way it's transferred on from Cheltenham and now to the Irish Grand National, you know, smaller stables going and winning. Then you saw at Aintree this afternoon, Belfast Banter goes and takes a Grade 1, and that's, you know, another first Grade 1 for Kevin Sexton and Peter Fahey as well. So it really goes to show, as Kevin, I think it was Kevin Blake said in ITV, I mean, you come to Ireland for horsemen, like we're the All Blacks of horsemen, you know, and that just fits it well. And like it stands to reason that people that travel the world, Irish people travel the world to be brilliant horsemen. So it stands to reason that in Ireland, the best horses and horsemen stay here and ply their trade.
What did you make of Cheltenham, actually, Dermot, in terms of the Irish domination? It wasn't, I suppose, unexpected that Ireland would dominate, but just the actual extent of it was quite staggering, I thought.
Unbelievable, Johnny. But like, I suppose, like, the Irish horses staying here now, and we're lucky enough to have the owners to keep them in this country. And you know, as Tom alluded to there, like, we're probably renowned all over the world for producing the best jockeys and horses on the day. So, like, you know, jockeys, you know, all over England and Ireland, so most of the jockeys that ride in England are Irish lads. So, like, you know, it's great. It's great. It's unbelievable, like, the way Cheltenham turned out.
But do you see that trend changing in terms of big owners? Obviously, Michael O'Leary's kind of easing his involvement in the game. You still have JP McManus, but you don't really have the Potts involvement that we had from before. Cheveley Park is lessening its involvement. Is it going to get more egalitarian in terms of owners, which I guess for the likes of you and I think for jumps racing in general mightn't be a bad thing anyway?
It's hard to know, Johnny, but like, there's so many people out there like want to get involved in racing, which is great. That it be syndicates or, you know, whatever, like, you know what I mean. So, like, once there's demand for the horse, hopefully it'll be staying in Ireland.
How many owners would you have?
We've 40 horses, so we've probably about 20-25 different owners. You know what I mean?
So how do you? I guess it's all gone WhatsApp now, where it's nearly the easiest way to communicate or whatever. How do you deal with the various owners, and how much of that does that take off of your daily life?
It takes up a lot of time, Johnny, now, because obviously with COVID they can't come to the yard. We used to be open house there. I'd rather to come and have a chat with them, see the horses in the gallop. It's a lot easier for me to relate to them when they see their own horse than trying to make a phone call to them, obviously, you know. But yeah, we have to WhatsApp. We have to keep them up to date on what's going on, and it's a bit difficult at the moment there because entries are so high and ballots, you know what I mean. Like, you can't really know when your horse in a handicap is going to get a run nowadays, you know what I mean. In the maiden hurdle, I think just 95 horses. Some of the tracks only take 15, so like, you could be ringing and knowing on a Monday saying your horse is entered for Friday, but you mightn't get a run for 2 more weeks. So that's a bit frustrating at the moment, but that's what we have to deal with. But and most owners now, in fairness, you know, sure, they're up to date and they can see the entries themselves. And like, you know, as I said, like, we're a very open house in our yard. You know, we like them calling in, seeing the horse in the gallops, but obviously communication now is essential. So I spend a lot of the evening on the phone, all right, yeah.
Can I ask you, when Vic's Canvas finished third, Gary O'Brien obviously notably involved in that horse, when Vic's Canvas finished third in the Aintree National, as he crossed the line, how would you sum up your feeling?
I was unbelievable. My wife was there at the side day, my brother was there, Ollie was there as well. Ollie was there, so it was a good roar match. When he made the mistake, I only realised how bad a mistake it was that evening. You know what I mean? I heard he actually, the commentator said he was gone down, but obviously until I seen it later how, you know, he was sliding on his belly. I think it was Barry Geert, he said to me that evening or the next day, sure, like he was bet 14 lengths and he lost by 25. So I suppose if he did the maths, but who's to say something else might have happened later on in the race. But no, it was 13-year-old going over there. As I said, I think he fell the first in the Irish National. He was well fancied that year, and then he went to Sandown. Ruby Road actually was second. So, great little horse for me to start off with. You know what I mean? He had his complications and that, but we knew how to deal with him. And great little horse. Now, very tough little horse. Very tough.
I guess you strike me as somebody who's just pretty well able to deal with the highs and lows, because there are obviously more of the latter. Unbelievable.
That's what I say to people there. You know, I know jockeys have ups and downs, but it's like everything else. If you have a horse right and he lets you down or something goes wrong, you're very disappointed. But then you have days like the other day, like I leave in Fairhouse, the only thing I was in my favour, leaving to go to Fairhouse, I said to the lads, at least the ground will suit these horses. The other horse is well fancied, but never really got into the race. Conor said he was on the back foot from halfway. The pace of the race, he just being a novice, he got a bit crowded, I think, and missed a few along the way. So like that was disappointing. But obviously there's ups and downs the same day. You know what I mean? We won the first race in Cork, 4-6 on shot as well that day. So like I was positive going racing, but as I said, like there's so many things can go wrong. So many things that's out of your control. It's unbelievable, you know. But you have to be able to take the highs and the lows.
And Dermot, just how important was Vic's canvas? Sorry, just on Vic's canvas there. Like, how important was he for you, just kind of relatively at the start of your training career, just to really put you on the map? Because, like you said, there's so many talented trainers, and just to get a horse to just compete in those bigger levels, just for visibility, if nothing else.
It was unbelievable, Tom. Like, you know, as I said, anyone starting out, let it be a jockey or a trainer, needs a horse to be able to get you where you need to be. And he was a tough little horse, that fella. We minded him well. Obviously, he was a stable star, so he got all the everything that was going. But he was great. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, he won the Cork National, fair enough. But just I always thought it was one of them big races, and I'm a national, an Irish national, and then obviously he made that mistake in Aintree that day, and probably was, you know, he still led over the last. That just shows how tough he was. You know, he was only done over in the run in. But even Robbie Dunn came in that day, and you know, he was down, and he said to me, Jesus, like, you know, to get up off the ground, and he kept going again. He said, it's unbelievable, you know, at 13 years of age. So when he was 100 to 1 that day as well, you know. So I still have the poster up in the yard. It's up on the wall there. But you need him starting out. Everyone needs, you know, they need the like of that horse, or a jockey the same, a young jockey starting out, just to know you're doing things right, and give you a bit of confidence, you know, going forward.
You're obviously training. My mother says this day 12 months and all that, but you're obviously training from tomorrow 12 months in terms of Vic's canvas for next year, or not Vic's canvas, rather Freewheelin Dylan for next year. It's all about Aintree, I guess. Yeah,
plenty of people have said that to me, but on the way up, like, you know, then again, as I said, so much can go wrong. But look, if he gets top of the ground, he'll jump. Obviously, he's very good at a jumper. He's a lot of comparisons to Vic's canvas. He's only about 16 hands, 16-1, so he wouldn't carry Vic's canvas once he got over 11 stone. You know, we were always in trouble. He was lucky enough when he won the good races, he was about 10-10, 10-8. So we'll just see. But as I said to Sheila there the other day, like that's what the aim will be next year. You know what I mean? Hopefully, if we can keep him right and sound, but we don't have to run him too many often anyway. So, like, you know, that's the plus factor. You know what I mean? I'd say, I think he's 145 now. So, you know, the English handicapper probably put a few pound onto him, obviously, and we could sneak in the bottom there. But, you know, as I said, hopefully we'll get there next year. That's the plan anyway.
I guess you had a moment of reflection maybe Monday evening and thought what your dad would have made of it all, and were he looking down on you?
Yeah, as a lot of people said, I was very cool, but you know, there was a lot going through my head after the horse went past the line, and all these things come into your own head, and your father, and like my father was passed away week, and I had my first runner and won, and lucky enough, at won Roscommons for the first horse we ran, won. So like all these things go through your mind, through your head, as I said. But it was great. It's the only thing that my family wasn't there. You know, it would have been very nice now, and obviously being from Ratoath, and well, I live between Ratoath and Curraha, it would have been a lot of local people there as well. So but like that's the way it is nowadays. So, you know, that's what we have to deal with.
And just imagine the look on the priest in the near future as he's christening a young child in the area, and somehow the horse or the young child is called Freewheelin, not only Dylan but Freewheelin, and wondering what to make of it all. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoyed the weekend, and hopefully we're back talking about the horse this time 12 months.
Really appreciate it, lads, and thanks very much.
Thanks a million, Nervous.
Cheers, Dermot.
Yeah, Tom, it's just a good story.
It's a really, really good story. And you know what? Next year, no matter, even if Freewheelin Dylan does get that kind of, you know, extra penalty for an Irish handicapper or whatever, like the English Grand National, the Aintree Grand National is such a classy race, and you'll have, you know, something, not probably Bristol de Mai, but something like Bristol de Mai up there around the mid 160s that will ensure that even if, you know, Freewheelin Dylan does get a lump of weight, that he still be down sub 11 stone, because as Dermot said, he isn't the biggest horse in the world, but it does seem like the key factors to him do seem to be to get, you know, a little bit of time at the front, a little bit of daylight, and just pop away on good ground. And when horses can just find their rhythm and be left alone and be, allowed to figure things out for themselves, it's kind of amazing what they can do. And they're almost, not to say they're unhandicappable, but, if their ideal conditions are reached, then they can certainly surpass maybe what people expect.
Unhandicappable. I kind of know what you mean, and it brings me on to Tiger Roll, because you're just watching him beating 80 or 90 lengths yesterday in a race he should never be running in. Why is he not running in the National tomorrow?
Yeah, it's difficult. I suppose I feel like at times on Off the Ball I'm the unofficial Tiger Roll correspondent, because I've spoken on AM about him a few times, and he is the biggest equine name in racing. I mean, he's won 2 Grand Nationals. It is still by far the biggest race of the year, and he's a dual winner of it. And judged on what we saw at Cheltenham, he's probably maybe £3 too high in the handicap. But what can you do? He's gone and won across country by that. Like the handicapper can't say, oh no, actually, I think he's probably only a 160 horse. You can't say that. Yes, he is never going to compete in a Gold Cup. He is not genuinely a sort of mid-160s horse. But he is a Grand National and cross-country specialist, and as difficult as it is to assess what his numerical ability is as gives a handicap mark, I mean, you can't go and say he's deserving any less than sort of £7 for, winning the National 2 years ago, when he was effectively a couple of pounds well in for his cross-country success.
Tiger Roll don't win the race, but what does?
I don't know. Well, obviously you got cloth cap.
Trevor Hemming's going for 4 wins in the race, which is, I know he's well into the seasoned owner stage. It would be a hell of an achievement.
It's absolutely incredible, and it'd be a great story. And look, he's a very, very likeable horse, and so theoretically he's a stone well in. The horse I backed for the race personally is Annabelle Fly. Absolutely love him. Backed him for the race last year. Maybe the ground might be just a shade quick, but I mean, the good thing about the National these days is it's never going to get proper good, like Mr. Frisk fast type ground. They've been watering the guts out of the place for the last 2 weeks. So I think there's a little bit of rain forecast over the next sort of 24 hours. Very little, but look, my class angle is to go with Annabelle Fly, because he's placed in the race twice. He was 33s during the week. He's about 25-1 now. And again, for you once-a-year punters, just have a look. You'll get 6-7 places. Obviously, the dream for this weekend is the Grand National Masters double, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's I can see your angle with Annabelle Fly. If he's back tomorrow, I think it'll be very interesting, because JP is 7 in the race. One of them of the septet is certain to be backed. I like any second now of the septet. Not certain he'll get home, and I usually don't like horses with stamina doubts. But I opposed him in the Kim Muir 2 years ago, thinking he wouldn't get home, and just thought he was brilliant in his prep run, to be honest. Just to mention, as the Toad 10 to follow gallops to a finale, Ger has once again regained the upper hand in the Toad 10 to follow. He went into Aintree with a 44-point deficit, but Abcadabras proved another bonus point winner, landing the Aintree hurdle, and 57.7 points. So it all comes down to Paisley Park running for yours truly in the Stairs hurdle Saturday. I'll still be fairly confident to go to win this, but
I feel like, do you remember Punchestown a few years ago, and they had those birdie paintings with Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott, so the heavyweight clash going into Punchestown. That's what it's going to be like for you guys going into the end of your 10 to follow. Yeah,
Ger and I would be a heavyweight clash of a different kind, I think. We've had a long lockdown at this stage. We need to be let out, but Ger is on 491.18. I'm on 477.88. Visit tote.e for the Tote versus SP price guarantee on this Saturday's Aintree Grand National. Tom, enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, I will do, Johnny. You too.
Yeah, that was Friday night racing on Off the Ball, brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every horse racing moment, and visit hri.ie.
Friday night racing
on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.